I have two concepts I'd like to cover today. The first topic I'd like to cover is Hinduism, more specifically, Hinduism as it is taught in India, or shall I say, that part of the world. And the other concept is dealing with the confusion in the world today about literally everything. So those two things I'd like to cover. The first being the teachings of Hinduism. I get feedback from people, mostly on the video that I made about Shiva is Satan. And I get a lot of people, I say India, but who knows where they're from. They're obviously coming out in defense of the faith of Hinduism or the teachings of Hinduism, or some would like to call it Sanatana Dharma, or call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. You understand what it is. And those people that come out and make negative comments, essentially based in hate, but the reason it's based in hate, I get it, I understand. It's because they perceive me as attacking their faith, their beliefs, their teachings, whatever they want to call it. And the most, for lack of better terms, I call it silly, ignorant, naive. There's lots of descriptive analogies I could come up with that describe the thought pattern that is in the minds of those people that negatively comment about how I depict the truth in reality, which is that Shiva is Satan. Now, they come out and attack me as though I'm a Christian because I say things about the teachings in the Bible, or I come out in support of what Jesus taught or whatever. But in reality, I come out in support of what Krishna taught, and I come out in support of what Buddha taught. I come out in support of anything that is teaching the truth. But the problem is, there is no organization on the planet that teaches the truth. They're all corrupt in varying ways. Now, those that are coming out against me should take note about this. There's a concept that is taught in samadhi. It's meditation, and this concept that is taught is to vacate your mind and your thoughts and everything to where you're not associating anything with anything. And then when you hear, I'm just making this stuff up as I go. When I say I'm making it up, I'm trying to come up with some sort of an example of what these spiritual teachers are talking about. And they are correct in what they're saying, that in meditation, you vacate your mind and everything, and try as hard as you can to vacate your mind to where when something were to happen, for instance, let's say a bang on the door happens. Well, the person that's in this thought pattern of vacating their mind, they hear the bang on the door, but they don't associate it with anything. It's just a bang on the door. There's no association. It's just a bang. That's all it is. Now, of course, eventually you think about it and it's somebody knocking on the door. But you don't associate those things. All you do is recognize what is taking place and don't take it another step. Just let things be without trying to make it into something that it may or may not be. And so this is a very difficult thing for most people to do. But the reason I'm going down that path and trying to give you an analogy is because people that are born into the faith of what is taught in Hinduism, in all the Vedas and this and that, and the predominant faith teachings in India and stuff like that, they grow up as children, and they don't learn the faith of Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma as I just expressed. It's like, don't add anything to it. Just when you read the Vedas or when you study the Bhagavad Gita or stuff like that, but you're not associating it with anything. All you're doing is letting it be whatever it is. Okay? Well, when you do that, you have to exclude the garbage that has been added for thousands of years, which is I'm not even going to go into specifics. All I can tell you, all I'm going to say is there is so much crap that is added to what people that are born and raised in India or in that part of the world and have their faith based in the Vedas, call it Hinduism, call it Sanatana Dharma, call it Sikh, whatever you want to call it. It's all a derivative in one way or another from the base foundation of that teaching that originated 10,000 years ago and was written down in Sanskrit form probably 3,000 to 4,000 years ago. So those teachings from their original format were meant to depict something that is not reflected in the beliefs of people that are indigenous to that part of the world, because they have so much, shall I say, bullshit added to it. And then they come out in defense, and then they go, somebody like me that's making a video, oh, Shiva is not Satan, you horrible person. And then, of course, they want to blast me with saying Christianity is such a stupid thing. It was infant when Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism or stuff was around for thousands of years before Jesus. But here's the thing. This isn't about you. I mean, because when you take a stance in defense of your teachings, what you're doing is you are attaching yourself to something. And you have to be careful about that, because if it isn't organically discovered on your own, if it isn't something that you can attest to, that this is your personal experience that you can verify without any references to scriptures or to teachings or to gurus or to anything, you do not need to have what you say is true supported by anything in the world. Now, if you can do that, then you're on to the path of what truth really is. Now, me, I did not grow up in the Middle East. And in fact, most of my life, Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma or any of these teachings, Buddhism, all of these things, for me, it was just a word. It really meant nothing to me because I wasn't taught about that sort of stuff. I wasn't raised in any faith, but being born into a citizen of the United States, predominantly were Christian here. And so, yeah, that's where my proclivities lie in how I was raised and stuff. But I don't cleave to Christianity any more than I cleave to Hinduism. I don't. You have to erase your mind of absolutely every connection there is, because if you don't do that, you will never, 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 never be able to stand on your own feet, meaning what you get or organically understand, or shall I say in quotes, know, has to be your own personal experience, not derived from any other source. So the problem with people that say in defense of their faith or whatever is they don't have the personal experiential evidence. What instead they're doing is defending a faith or a religion that has been corrupted over time. And that's, I mean, I don't know where to go with that any further. That it's just that's the point I'm trying to make, is I studied the Eastern philosophies of Sanatana Dharma and Hinduism, not from the corrupt teachings of people in India or anywhere around there. Instead, like the meditator that wipes their mind clean, I instead said, well, there has to be something here. There has to be something. I was taught, just like the people in India are taught that Christianity is bullshit, I was taught that Hinduism is bullshit and that it's probably evil. That's what I was taught growing up. But when I got to the point when I personally was able to dissect Christianity out of the Bible and started to realize, oh, interesting, that's not my personal experience. And I won't believe something just for the sake of believing. I have to have personal proof. Well, then I closed the door on Christianity, so to say, in that I no longer believe the dogma that was taught, but I still believe, no, I take that back. I still know that the basic teachings of Christ, or attributed to Christ, is absolutely true. But the same can be said from my perspective of what Krishna taught, or what Buddha taught, or what is in the Vedas, or this Bhagavad Gita's, or all of these teachings. When I went and I started searching on my own without any influence from the outside world corrupting the teachings of Sanatana Dharma or corrupting the teachings of Hinduism, when I went on my own to study these texts and writings, I spent years, many, many years, probably more than most indigenous people spend in a lifetime. I spent studying without any outside influence to pollute the pure teachings that are found in the Vedas and stuff. And I came away with that and concluded, rightfully so, that Shiva is the Satan that is referred to in biblical terms. Now, and I've expressed this before, but people are not listening. I've expressed this before, that in Christianity, the Satan in Christianity isn't depicted correctly either. They depict Satan, they try to make him out to be this horrible, horrible, evil devil with horns and, I mean, all kinds of horrible things. Now, he may be that horrible, but he isn't what they claim him to be. And so it isn't my experience that that's the case. Likewise, from the teachings in Hinduism, Shiva is something that Shiva isn't. They have an extra layer of false teachings that have been added over the thousands of years, but it isn't written that way in the Vedas. It isn't written that way in the teachings. It's only a belief of people that hold that what they have been taught by their parents or their grandfathers or their gurus or whatever is true, but it's not. It's fake. It's just as fake as what is taught in Christianity, as well as all spiritual teachings on the planet in an organized fashion. It's all been corrupted. So what do I think of Hinduism? Oh, I think it stands on its own 2 feet, just like Christianity does, in a way that it would be like, like a lot of times they, there's like a 2-legged person falls over without one leg, and there's like the fire tetrahedron, it's like if you take one of the legs away, you don't have combustion. The same can be said about understanding spirituality or the true nature of reality. When you take Hinduism out of it and you just have Christianity, you're not going to have combustion. You're not going to have the full understanding of what reflects reality. Likewise, in Hinduism, if you take the side of Christianity taught by Christ out, you're not going to have a full understanding of what reality really, really is. You have to actually go to each source, exclude all the bullshit that is thrown in there to corrupt you so that you'll never discover the truth. And you have to endorse all of the different faiths, Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity. I don't like the teachings of the Muslim faith. I don't think that has any more basis in reality than what is taught in Mormonism. And I spent 35 years in the Mormon church. But do I look back with negative thoughts about the Mormon church? Absolutely not, because there's a lot of truth in that organization, but there's a lot of non-truth also, just like in Hinduism. It's the same thing. So I'm not attacking the faith of Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma. I'm not attacking that in the least bit. I absolutely love that original teaching that is attempted to be conveyed from the Sanskrit writings into what we have today. I absolutely love it. However, there is no way to understand it. And when I say there's no way to understand it, I mean there's no way to understand it without some divine connection vertical to the creator of all reality. There's no way to understand it. The people that wrote the original Sanskrit were writing it from memory from 1,000 or several thousand years prior to it actually ever being written down. It was actually verbally transmitted from father to son and for thousands of years. And then finally at some point, it was translated into Sanskrit. And then of course, the Sanskrit, they go, oh, well, this is the most perfect translation. Well, no, it isn't. It's just a translation. That's all it is. And there's no way to understand it. And then you have gurus that have absolutely no intuition and absolutely no connection vertically to the creator of all reality, standing on their own laurels of a great education and everything and going, well, this is what the Sanskrit means, and so I'll write a book and explain to you what reality is. No, that isn't true. All they're doing is further corrupting the truth from the original Sanskrit. The only way to understand what is written is to be able to read it and wipe clean your slate of preconceived notions and then read something, and as you're reading it or studying it or listening to it or whatever, maintaining a vertical connection to the Creator. In Christianity, they would say that's the connection to the Holy Ghost. In Hinduism, I don't know what they call it, but it certainly isn't a practice well known or a practice that is common. The reason it isn't common is because you and me have absolutely no power or ability to make that connection. All you can do is humbly plead to the Creator of all reality to open that door, to open that path, to be able to allow that communication to be two ways. You have to plead, you have to ask, you have to be humble. You can't do it on your own. And think about this. Almost all the gurus that you listen to or whatever, they have this aura of pride, of knowledge, of understanding, or they're just not loving, humble type people that go, I'm just a humble person that loves God and I'm doing the best to understand what reality is. No, they don't do that. They go, well, I know this to be true and blah, 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 blah. And they continue on about how great they are and how smart they are and everything else. Well, that's never going to maintain a connection to the Creator, because the Creator just cut that communication off. You can talk till the cows come home upwards, but you're never going to get anything coming downwards because of the nature of the individual that has this pride issue. So there's that. Now, the other issue I wanted to discuss is the chaotic nature of the world right now. This is probably going to upset most people. And why? Well, because the chaotic nature of this world is a result of what I'm going to express. The chaotic nature of the world, of course, is evil. Anyone that doubts that we're in the Kali Yuga has got to have their head in the sand. Anyone that doubts from a Christian standpoint that we're at the end days has got to have their head in the sand. So you have to accept the fact that the planet is evil right now. And when I say the planet, the people. And that mankind has devolved into a chaotic mess, or it appears to be chaotic from a righteous standpoint. Why? Why is it that way? Well, there's an analogy of birds of a feather flock together. And what does that mean? Or how does that relate to what I'm going to talk about? Well, birds do not sit together in the morning and they tweet to each other, hey, let's fly over here and we need to keep our formation. And if Bill happens to fly ahead, there's no discussion of what they're going to do. They're not that intelligent. They just have a connection that when they take off flying, they know from a biological standpoint that they have to maintain formation or they will die. So they just do. They don't think about it. They just have this subconscious connection that they don't have to think about. Now, if you accept that as true, then maybe you'll be able to understand the chaotic nature of what this world is going through right now. With the Kali Yuga, people in general are flocking together as birds of a feather. And if we are in the Kali Yuga, which we are, then the majority of the birds are being led by Satan, Shiva, evil, the dark ones. So people can be assumed to be good because they don't do evil things, or it would appear evil, but they are contributing to the downfall of goodness, of society, of the world economics and everything else by simply following the crowd. What do I mean by that? I mean that, here's a good example, and this is where I'm going to lose a lot of friends probably. Police officers throughout the world. They're like attack dogs. They don't utilize their connection to God. They don't utilize any form of love or humanity. I'm speaking in general. And when I say I'm speaking in general, I mean, yeah, maybe there's a handful that attempt to, but if they attempt to have a connection to the Creator or God or whatever, based in love, they can't last in that organization. They will be washed out. Which means the entire organization is flying together in lockstep like birds of a feather. All the police in the world are like the police that murdered Jesus. You may not think they're evil, but they don't do anything based upon love. Instead, they're following laws and rules. Now, when I say police, I'm not just focusing on them. They are just the spearhead of an entire organization that is following their leader. Who is their leader? Satan, of course. Who is their leader? Shiva. Call it whatever you want. But they are following orders. It's like the military individual with their rifle aimed with their hair sights on an individual. I got him in my hair sights. Am I clear to fire? Am I clear to fire? Am I clear to fire? Yes, fire. Boom. Okay. There's no thought. They don't care who they're killing. It doesn't make any difference. They feel like what they're doing is okay. Now, they might be shooting a completely innocent person that would have contributed to the spiritual growth of the entire planet, and they just killed the individual, and they feel good about it. Why? Because they were following orders. But they're not following the connection to God, because God does not tell someone, oh, go kill that person. God does not do that. If God wanted someone to be dead, God would give him a heart attack. God would cause a lightning bolt to hit him. God would cause a mountain to fall upon him. God doesn't need a human being to kill another human being, unless that God is Shiva or Satan. And so we have a flock of people, billions and billions of people, that are led by laws and rules and do not listen to the Spirit, do not listen to the Holy Ghost, do not listen to what is right, but instead listen to the authorities. And this carries from the bottom police officer all the way to the top presidents, dictators, rulers. Now, does that mean the President of the United States is the person in charge? Well, it would appear that way, but it isn't true. The President of the United States is just a puppet, just like all the other leaders of the world, albeit a high-ranking puppet, but they just follow rules also. And those rules are coming down from Satan, from Lucifer, from Shiva, from darkness, from evil. And this is why your standpoint, assuming you're a righteous person, which otherwise you wouldn't even be watching this video, I would assume. Assuming that's the case, you're confused. You're going, why is this world so screwed up? Why is everything so chaotic? Why is this what would appear to be insanity ruling this planet right now? But that's because you're not in lockstep with what appears to be. You're not a bird flying in formation. You're not in formation. And so it appears to you completely chaotic. To the people that are causing the insanity, they don't even think about it. They don't even consider whether it's insane or not. They're just following rules. They get their paycheck because they follow rules. They get their power and authority because they follow rules. And they don't even think about whether it's right or wrong. They're motivated by money or power or influence or whatever the case may be. Okay, lastly, the last thing I wanted to address, and that's not part of the two things that I was going to talk about, but it has to do with I don't think I will cover it. I think I'll wait for another video. I think this is enough for today. Anyways, I appreciate you watching, and I love those that love me and the path we're all on. And maybe I will cover that last thing. Nah, I'll save it for next time. Anyways, thank you for watching. Bye.